Hi guys, it's ASBYT and welcome back to a brand new video. Now recently I've done a lot of videos on smartphones and most recently a lot of videos on the OnePlus 6, a phone that provides pretty much top flagship performance at a mid-tier price. So some would call it the best budget phone of 2018. However, budget means something very different to different people, and some people would think a £400–500 price tag is still far too expensive and not budget at all. So that's where today's product comes in. We have on the table the Xiaomi Redmi S2, and this is going to be my unboxing and first impressions of this smartphone to see whether I think it might be something for a very, very budget price of just over £100 UK, whether this is indeed the phone for you. So let's get straight to it. Hi guys, like I said, welcome back to a brand new video. The Xiaomi Redmi S2 is on the table here. Before we unbox it, let's just jump straight in with the specs so that you get an idea of what we're going to be dealing with. Get the numbers out of the way so we can enjoy what's inside. Enjoy what's inside. So we've got a 5.99 inch display, 1440 by 720, Qualcomm Snapdragon 625, Android 8.0. Now this is also running with 32GB of storage and 3GB of RAM. It's also rocking a 3080 mAh battery, which under the circumstances and when you look at the resolution of the screen, I would imagine get you through a decent day's use. It's got a dual rear camera, a 12 megapixel and a 5 megapixel, and a front-facing camera with a 16 megapixel sensor. It's dual SIM and you can indeed add micro SD card expansion if you so wish, which is a positive, and Bluetooth 4.2. There are quite a few LTE bands available with this as well, and with it being a global ROM, it will be pretty much compatible worldwide. And of course, price, we're talking $159 US, which equates to roughly around 118 UK pounds, 10,815 Indian rupees. Right, so they are just some of the core specs. Obviously, we'll go into a little bit more detail as we unbox it, but right now, let's get to the unboxing. So, it's completely factory sealed. It's got a cellophane around it, so this is the first time we're going to be doing this. Let's get a knife for a change. I've got a knife. It's more of a bottle opener, to be honest. And no, I'm not sponsored by Peroni. Although, Peroni, if you're watching and you want to, I take PayPal donations. Right. Everyone's favourite bit. Right, so we're just going to lift this off. Oh. And inside, there you go, we have the Redmi S2. So we're just going to take this out now. And we've got the cover on the front. And then one more on the back. Now, after watching this review, if you are interested in purchasing this phone, I will leave a link in the video description below with the best prices, deals, etc. that are going at this moment in time. First thing to note, actually, for the price, this does actually feel quite nice in the hand. It does feel pretty premium. We'll get to the build quality, the materials, etc. in a second, but we're just going to put that down and we're going to see what else is in the box. So you have in here a silicone case, which is nice, as well as your SIM card ejector. You've of course got your cable and your plug, and it is micro USB, unfortunately. So you're not going to get Type-C charge, but nevertheless, again, in this sort of budget, a lot of phones still don't use it. Definitely something that I think should be just a normal though these days. So first off, Xiaomi, come on. There are quite a few products now that you deliver that still use micro USB. You've got Type-C products, just use Type-C now. Come on, you can do it. Right, so I'm just going to turn it on and then I'm going to show you the comparison with the Redmi 5 Plus as an example, which is also another product made by Xiaomi. Right, so straight away, as you can see there, we've got MIUI 9, which is Xiaomi's latest skin that goes over the top of Android. So it's not stock Android. It is a different interface and something you would have to get used to if you've never used it before, but many people think it's very clean, very crisp, very simple to use, very much like iOS. Right, so here we have on the table the Xiaomi Redmi S2 and the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus. Yeah, it gets confusing, and I tell you why, and this is my one biggest problem with Xiaomi at this moment in time. They have a lot of products all within the same price bracket, and they all have very similar features both in design and in specification. And here's a perfect example. We have two phones here that are very similar in price, that are the same sort of size screen and the same sort of build. I mean, they look very, very similar. The only difference on here is, of course, we have the dual rear camera on this S2, whereas we have the single camera on the Redmi 5 Plus. But if we look at the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5, that has a dual camera and looks identical pretty much to this. We also have the Xiaomi Mi 6X, which was released about 4 weeks ago, and again, it looks almost identical to this. Producing so many products that are all very, very similar is it gets really confusing for you guys, the consumer, to buy a product. You'll get about 8 different Xiaomi products that are all very, very similar. How do you choose the best one other than looking at loads of reviews? And not only is it confusing for the consumer, but Xiaomi must be eating into profit of other phones. So if you were to buy the Redmi S2, for example, you'd be eating into the Redmi 5, the Redmi Note 5. You know, they must all suffer as a result of the heavy competition of Xiaomi products themselves. I definitely think they need to streamline the amount of phones they produce each year, and I actually think it would help the brand as opposed to hinder them by having so many phones like they do at this moment in time. But enough of that. We'll wipe that one away and we'll concentrate on this one. So first of all, let's try the fingerprint sensor as we've set it up. So now for a budget phone, that is pretty darn quick. It's very accurate. It's very quick. I'm very impressed with that. But Xiaomi do make brilliant fingerprint sensors outside probably OnePlus, like the OnePlus 6, for example, which is, in my opinion, the quickest on the market. The Huawei P20 Pro and stuff like that as well, which are lightning quick as well. But Xiaomi really do make quick fingerprint sensors even on their budget devices, and this certainly is in that category. So the fingerprint sensor is good. Now we're going to jump onto camera, and I'm going to take a little photo of the box here, and I'm also going to take some portrait photos using that depth effect from that dual camera. You know what? It doesn't do a bad job. Again, for the price, it does what it says on the tin. You're not going to get the best camera, that's standard, but it has as you can see on here, we've got video, we've got photo, we've got portrait, square, panorama, and we've also got manual as well. So if you want to go into being more professional, you can do that. You've got different filters you can add. And of course, you've got timer and settings, etc. in here. If we just go into there, lots of different settings on there that you can change. In terms of like sharpness, for example, you can go up to highest, so we'll do that. Saturation you can change as well, which is quite good if you prefer like overly saturated photos. More like the Samsung cameras. We'll take a selfie shot as well as we're on the camera. And yeah, while it's not going to be as good as the top flagships, it does do a pretty decent job. There are certainly phones out there in this price bracket for just over £100 where the camera absolutely sucks, and this is not one of them. Are you going to get the best performance? No. Can you take a photo and it look reasonably good? Yes. Video quality, we have full HD as an option, so it does shoot in 1080p, which is again good considering the price. Now we'll just do a little video segment here just to give you an idea, see if it has problems with autofocus, which some of the other phones in the Xiaomi budget ranges do. So it does have both tap to focus and autofocus all in one setting. You can't really change that. Again, considering the price, it is picking it up quite well. It does pulse a little bit, but I am impressed with how it switches quite quickly. Some phones take ages to switch that focus when you're going from short to long view. I will be taking a few photos, etc., and posting them to my Instagram and Twitter accounts, so if you are interested in seeing more, then please follow those channels. Headphone jack, which is obviously always a bonus, but it is on the top. I don't personally like headphone jacks on the top. I would prefer them on the bottom, because I feel when you actually put a headphone in, if I'm using my phone in bed, for example, and I've got my headphones in, and I've got my phone up, it dangles down, and I find that quite irritating. It's much easier when the cable's just there, down, not in your way, not a problem. So I don't know why companies tend to put them on the top sometimes. Right, so we have an IPS screen here, and it is, like we said, 1440 by 720. It's not the brightest screen in the world. You will have problems in bright sunshine, but in normal everyday use, you'll be completely fine. Also, considering it is only 720p, I'm very, very surprised, especially when it's been stretched over that 18:9 ratio, the 2:1. It's still pretty good. I can't really see pixels like you would expect. And all in all, I'm struggling to find faults with this phone knowing the price. So it's got a matte finish on the back, and it is, like I said, very similar to a lot of other phones. The only difference between this and, for example, the Redmi 5 is this is metal and glass, and this is, of course, plastic and glass. But again, it's got a nice weight to it, and it doesn't necessarily, in my opinion anyway, look too plasticky. It looks like it could be metal until you pick it up and you give it the old flip test. You know it's plastic, but until that point, it's quite impressively made. As well as the charging port at the bottom, we've also got the speaker. We'll do an audio test quickly now. So we'll load up YouTube, and I'm going to click on a video so you can see the actual sound quality. So we'll click on this one, which was, of course, my full review of the OnePlus 6. If you are interested, I will leave it linked here. I'm just going to turn it up to full volume so you can hear how it sounds. This is my full review up to now, and basically I want to share my personal opinion with its use over the last few days to let you guys know whether I think it's worth parting with your hard-earned cash. So let's get straight to it. Right, so as you heard there, it's not too distorted that I would expect from a budget product. It's not the loudest. There are other phones that are a lot louder, but then in my opinion, you wouldn't buy this phone for audio. If you're really into sound quality, then you'd have to spend a bit more on a phone. For 32 gigabytes of storage, you may want to get yourself a micro SD card to expand because that will fill up with photos and videos fairly quickly. It does also come in 3 different color variants. So we've got this one here. We've also got a gold and like a pink rose gold. Overall, what are my main first impressions of the Xiaomi Redmi? Well, there's your first point. I was even confused about what it was called because there are that many phones that all have pretty much the same name, pretty much the same design, pretty much the same specs like I've mentioned. Now, does this phone excite me? I wouldn't say it necessarily excites me because I think, including Xiaomi, there are loads of phones like this. Is it good value for the money? In my opinion, yes. I think there are a lot of features packed into this for that cheap price of just over 100 UK pounds. It feels like I could use this and not have too many problems. And yes, I wouldn't get the same feeling, the same sense of ownership over something more flagship like a Samsung, a Huawei, a OnePlus, you know, but I could quite easily leave my house with this for the day and I could get on with it pretty well. So excited? No. Do I think it's a decent product for the price? Yes. Here's where you guys comment. I want to know what you have to say about this phone. Do you think it's worth the price of just over £100? Do you think that's great value for money, good value for money, average value for money, or poor value for money? Also, is there a phone like this out there for the same sort of price that you think is better? As always, I'll sift through all of the comments and try and answer as many questions and comments as I can. But that's pretty much it for now. Like and share if you did enjoy this video and found it helpful. Subscribe and hit that little notification bell if you are new and want to be notified every time I post a video. And I'll see you in the next one. Say ASBYT, peace out.